Spook.
Yes.
Did you injure an adductor also?
No, I think I just over-celebrated the win.
Welcome to the Round 7 episode of the Collingwood Rant. I am Sly.
And I am, it's great to be back home, Spook.
We're coming to you after demoralising Port Adelaide for a quarter.
I was feeling pretty demoralised there, though, for a moment.
Alright, so let's get straight into this. And the question I direct to Eddie Maguire, who I know watches us.
Does he?
I guess he watches us. Why do we play at that shithole at all? And why do we play home games there?
I don't know, I don't go there anymore.
Well, I don't think many people go there.
It looked pretty empty.
Actually, I should say, yeah, obviously if we're playing away, we need to play there. But why do we play home games there?
I have no idea. Maybe it's a contractual obligation.
Who would sign such a contract?
Probably someone with a pen.
So you're blaming Gary Pert. Because he's at Melbourne now. They're doing well. Alright, first quarter, how good were we?
Fucking good.
How good was that?
It was good, it was very good.
First quarter.
Exceptionally good. I think it's probably one of the best first quarters I can recall as ever playing. Ever.
So not just under Buckley, ever.
No, ever.
Ever.
Can we have a disclaimer here in case another one happens?
Or what happened before people watch this. First quarter, pretty much everything we touched turned to gold. Rattled Port. They discombobulated or whatever the hell happened to them.
Imploded.
Yep. Every time we went forward, we looked dangerous.
And we scored.
Yep. Unfortunately, we didn't kick that accurately.
When we didn't score.
Yep. Yeah, we could have easily been 10-3 or something like that. But we looked awesome. But the thing was, obviously, we weren't going to be able to keep that pace for the whole game.
No, it would have been nice if we did, though.
Yes, we could have ended up on like 28 goals or something.
48,000 percentage points.
Yep. And we knew Port would have to come out hard against us. And in the second quarter, they did.
It was a performance.
Okay, so we talked about this last week. Strong beginnings, poor second quarters when we're challenged.
It's our way. It's our game plan.
Is it a concern?
I think it's starting to get a little bit of a concern. It's still very early on in the season, and I'm more than confident that we can be better and become better and push this away. But at the moment, it seems to be very consistent.
The only probably team that didn't do it from memory was Brisbane, but even Brisbane got to within about 18 points.
Brisbane play a very similar style to us, though, too. So it's that one I really didn't think I'd expect to see that happen, but it's been a consistent thing from pretty much everyone else.
Yeah. All right. So Port came back strong. The problem here more so was
Port coming back strong.
The other problem here more so was we actually still had our chances.
Oh yeah.
And our inaccuracy totally. Inaccuracy betrayed us, and in being inaccurate, we just couldn't string one or two goals together to actually just put the kibosh on their comeback.
Oh, that's true. I mean, is there something wrong with kicking in a pristine stadium?
Well, apparently there is.
We had a desk fan on or something to pretend there was wind.
I mean, so, we're up by like 7 goals, and as they're coming back, all you need is that one goal, and that's it. Snuffs out the resistance. And
snuffs it.
Kills it. But instead, they just kept whittling the lead down until come half-time, we started thinking, well...
We could lose this.
I didn't think that. I was pretty confident we should win. It was a case of how we'd win. Now, Port came out, kicked the first one from memory in the third quarter.
Yep. And missed one, I think.
Yeah. And then we consolidated, and then it went to... We snuffed out the resistance, and then it was really just tempo football.
It's because we had the scoring end.
Oh, that's true. Right of the screen was the scoring end.
What if you were watching the screen from the back of the TV?
You wouldn't have seen the screen.
And what if you had a mirror?
Ultimately, the game, then everyone would be on their opposite foot. Which would mean, I don't know, we'll leave that one alone.
I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did.
Yeah, okay. So we snuffed out the resistance, and it just really became a case of tempo football, hold them there. We're not really going to overexert ourselves to win by 14 goals. I mean, why would you in a competition that's so tight and is going to be so reliant on percentage?
Yeah, that was one statement I made last night. I thought this is the perfect opportunity to boost that because it could be very handy.
Yep.
What have we got, about 16 sides on 12 points or something at the moment?
Yeah. Oh, hang on. 16. But hang on, there's Carlton and Melbourne and North Melbourne exists. There must be like 15.
I think the AFL borrowed some to them.
Right. So, as a game, how'd you feel about Ben Reid?
Oh, wasn't it a feel-good story to have him back?
Apparently.
Well, the commentary team seemed to tell us every 8 seconds, and he was in great nick. He looked fantastic. Look, yeah, he had a couple of good moments.
His kicking was poor.
Yeah, especially that one right in front. But yeah, look, a bit of a mixed bag for me.
Yeah, he looked good, and we'll talk more about him and the selection woes or issues for now opposed around him later. 40 led well, but I actually, whenever he was in the ruck, got on top.
Yeah, well, that was to be expected.
And he didn't seem to have much presence in terms of running around, being the ruckman who's going to take a few marks down back and all that sort of stuff. And that's fair enough.
Has he actually ever rucked before in his time?
I'm sure he would have done it at some point, but obviously that's not his specialty.
No.
He was an All-Australian as a centre-half back in 2011. 2010, 2011, I think he was easily the best centre-half back in the league. It wasn't just his marking and reading the play, his kicking and his counter-attack.
No, it was fantastic.
I recall the way he could pick out targets who were swamped by opposition to provide the best possible counter-attack was just awe-inspiring. You know, he didn't go for a safe little kick just
It was Darcy Moore-like.
Yes. So Reed did well. Reed did wellish. Elliott, 18 disposals, kicked 3-1. I actually thought he probably had like a quieter game, but looking at that, it's amazing.
No, you take that. I'd take that.
The goalie, 1 goal free.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if he could nail those set shots straight in front.
And he's not just missing those set shots. He's totally, you know, they're going through the, you know,
wasn't one out of the full? Did he have one out of the full? Yeah, that snap that was out in the full, maybe I'm thinking.
That was attributed between.
Yeah,
Josh Thomas, 15 disposals, kicked 0-2.
Yeah, he might be on the cusp.
So he'd be the one you'd think when they're looking at small forwards like Varco and that sort of coming back, possibly Josh Dacos. Wells, and actually I was going to mention him later, but
sorry,
no. But those sort of guys, his body's probably the one that's vulnerable. You know, he's the guy that's not really hitting the scoreboard a lot.
And I think that's really that's the key.
He does tackle, you know, he does apply pressure, but it's not frenetic like Varco. Probably my biggest query over Thomas at the moment.
Tomlinson.
Yep, is he seems to have a fairly inflated view of what he can get away with. Like he'll go for a sprint or something. You think you're not that quick. You're quickish, but you're not that quick. You put us in trouble. So he seems to like actually play like, you know, he's got a bit more ability than he does have. Huskin Elliott only had 10 disposals, kicked 1 goal straight.
Semi-understandable.
Yeah, he just come back.
So,
but with Huskin Elliott as
slack cut, I'd keep Hoskers in there though.
Oh no, Hoskers will stay. I totally agree. But as Hoskers, just the general overview for me, he does need to get a bit more of the ball.
That'll come with time. And getting more of the ball will help there too.
That you think? Greenwood, 21 disposals, 13 kicks, 8 handballs. What did you think of Greenwood?
There was a couple of clanger moments.
So was that real shocker where he just totally picked out a port out of the play?
Kicked across goal.
Yeah.
And, but apart from that, look, a few people commented that it was a bad game. It really didn't stand out as a super bad game. Like, he didn't really do a lot either at the same time, but serviceable, I think, is probably a reasonable assessment.
Let me add something. 7 contested possessions and 76% disposal efficiency. So I actually thought he was okay. I don't want to really see him down back. I'm
always nervous about him when he's playing defence.
He, to me, doesn't seem a great one-on-one defender of the ball. He actually seems a good one-on-one mark, but the body positioning whenever he's in a one-on-one contest, like even times where he's gone up against Martin, I know Martin's good, but like I'm watching Greenwood's position, I think I could probably mark against you. He obviously doesn't have that.
Well, let's go to the footage of when we tried that. No.
And
that's next week.
That's not a specific criticism of him. It's just certain players aren't.
I can't believe how much you hate him.
I actually like Levi with Taylor Adams now, out. I would consider just saying to Greenwood, you know what, we're going to just give you free reign in the midfield for a couple of weeks to win the contested ball, be an in and under mid, be a hard mid, and see if you can actually get those possession numbers up.
You're obsessed with this. Has he got the ability to run out of game in that position, though?
Oh, he's a run-with player, so you imagine he can run with...
Yeah, but I think it'd be a different thing running and harassing than it is trying to win the ball at the same time.
Well, sort of moving away from what we'll talk about... No, we'll talk about that. Adams out for probably a month, and Sire has some mysterious ailment that's got him out now. So
Although apparently there's a VFL bye this week, and he was slated to play, allegedly, so definitely has to be back next week. Please.
But even if he plays in the VFL, he's probably still going to be a few weeks away from senior readiness. So at the moment, there's a vacuum there, and they have...
Is it?
Yeah, right there. There's a vacancy for a hard mid to win the ball. And
who's that going to be?
This goes to our next guy. Treloar, 35 disposals, 18 kicks, 17 handballs, 18 contested possessions. So, and 60% disposal efficiency, but if he's getting a lot of those sort of in contested situations where he's just got to fire it out, that's going to bring his numbers down in terms of efficiency. But for Treloar, I don't want to be seeing him get 18 contested possessions. I want to see him on the outside getting fed the ball so he can use his pace to run and, to gain us meters and have shots at goal and stuff like that. So, Dane Beams, I don't think's really set the world on fire. He's come back down a little bit. In fairness, he's still trying to fit into the side, learn how they play, but again, I just still don't feel that was what they needed.
It'll be interesting to see how his output is without Adams there.
Beams
how he's played.
He's a better player, but it reminds me of 03 when we recruited Shane Woden and we had Heath Scotland there. And for me, both of them are very similar players. They're just, linkers. Could do the occasional hard thing. It's like, well, did we need another one? Was that what we're missing? Or was it like, we've got the opportunity to get him, so let's go do it. Pendles, sublime yet again.
No, egg on face here. I thought he was pretty much getting closer to the end, and he's just turned himself around the last couple of weeks. He's back to his phenomenal best. Well done, mate.
Do you realise football's a 360 degrees game, so you do have to turn around sometimes, yeah. How did you feel about the ruck contest, Lysett versus Grundy?
Did Lysett do anything this time around?
I don't think Grundy had statistically, he got the most tap-outs. Team-wise, Port got more, but I mean, that probably happened a lot when Reid was in the ruck, and then Grundy missed about the last 15 minutes. But I don't think Grundy's rucking was that effective after the
throw was good, though, he did.
That was an awesome throw. Now, I was saying this before, that first quarter, they really seem to have the man that if you can't get the ball, just thump it forward. Just don't worry about a precise disposal, just gain us meterage. Second quarter onwards, they lost and they seemed to finesse a little bit. The other guy on the mentions, Callum Brown, 13 disposals, 85% disposal efficiency, but only 7 kicks, 6 handballs. Do we need more from Callum at this stage of his career, or are we rating him too highly? I mean, he reads the ball well. He's got good hands.
For 3 quarters, I think he did 6 degrees of naff all, but then that last quarter, he really just started winning the ball. He dished his hands in traffic are fantastic, and you think someone with that weapon, you persist, you keep going. Are you going to build the rest of his game up around the one thing he does exceptionally well? Is he going to get any benefit from doing that back in the VFL? At some point, he's going to get dropped. I think it's a famous complete. But I'm enjoying the fact that they're persisting with him at the moment, and I think they'll go another week definitely. But
with Adam's injury now, that's going to probably buy him a reprieve. The one thing with Callum is, you think, and he does this a bit, he comes in the games as they wear on. Now, as the games wear on, players get a little bit tighter and all that. Do you think then it's not such an issue being the size he is?
Well, size has always been a bit of a concern, but I don't know, it's hard to gauge.
Yeah, look, as a midfielder, 13 disposal is not enough. He's going to have to get that 20 plus.
It's Blair-like.
Yeah, it is. And he's got a lot of good attributes. The sure hands, he reads the play well. When he gets the ball, he does tend to take the game on a little bit rather than just always play it safe. But having said that, he's got to add quantity because that's today's game. In today's game, you should be pretty much nailing 20 possessions because you're kicking back and forth half the time.
Well, maybe can't see him.
That's a good point. One person you can see because of his blonde locks, Darcy Moore.
Oh, hello. Maybe that was the source of the groin problems. Jeez. I think they were talking about it post-game about him being potential Australian. I think that's almost a gimme. He is in phenomenal form at the moment. And considering that, when he came into the back line, it was later 5 games or something the previous year.
Yeah.
Hard to sort of quantify last year because he only played about 10 minutes. But to pick up from where he left off and then take it to 20 more levels is an enormously fantastic return. And he is pivotal to this side's success this year.
He should get better as he gains size, experience. I mean, he's still a very young player.
Oh, yeah.
His development's been marred by injuries, even in terms of games experience and all that.
Yeah.
His development's been marred by injuries. He's played up forward in a hugely dysfunctional forward 50 for about 4 or 5 years there under Buckley, where that forward line was just really a raffle of what was going to happen. So he's still got tremendous upside. And you're right. I mean, he really has become the linchpin of this side.
No, his ability to just sort of read the ball coming in, his pace, his intercept, and to have the ball rebound from him is just... He's just
that's the thing. I mean, in terms of...
Kerry was waffling on last night about, this is the sort of player that you come to games to watch.
Yep.
And, it was Kerry. You take most of that
apple.
stuff with a grain of salt, but you have to say he's on the money with that one.
Yeah. The really good thing with Moore, you get defenders who like Presti, Simon Prestigiacomo.
Yeah, I like him.
Great stoppers, but they didn't offer a lot of rebound. Even someone like Nathan Brown, very similarly. Lyndon Nunn was he offered that rebound and counter-attack. Darcy Moore has taken that to a new level. He reminds me a lot of Matthew Scarlett in the fact that it's just like, you know what, I'm going.
Yeah.
I can read it. I'm going to break the game open. And I've got the confidence to have read the game to an extent that I know I'm not going to get exposed because the ball's going to go over my head. So he's fantastic. Anything you want to add about this game?
No. First quarter was footy porn, to quote the old vernacular, but the rest of it was ugly. You sort of left the game thinking, should be happier than I am with that win, but it was a scrappy, fumbly, really lackluster 3 quarters almost after that first. But that first quarter was just
sublime.
Yeah, it's maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh.
Maybe being a little bit too harsh.
Yeah, look, I think it was it's something you come away with such. I mean, we won by 39 points. We were 45 points up at the end of the first quarter. That margin really didn't shift all that much, went up and down, but we didn't blow them away like it looked like it was going to be evident. And I feel a little bit disappointed with that, obviously, because of the percentage situation. But you still felt at the end of it, there's so much scope for improvement still that you're a little bit disappointed with that performance.
So the one thing I'm disappointed with is, in today's football, often you get teams establish a lead and they just hold it for the rest of the game. We didn't actually hold it. We had to actually re-establish it. And that was my concern, is when an opposition comes with us, we need to actually just be able to slow the game down, steady, get a goal, and shut down their momentum. And then, you get a stress-free game. You don't have to have players...
I like stress-free games.
Yeah, you don't have to have players killing themselves to make sure that the game... because this game, they got to within 18 points.
Yeah.
So, that's free kicks.
Which is nothing.
Yep. And they probably had and once you get probably under that 20, and particularly once you get to 2 goals.
Especially when you peg the side back too.
Yeah, it's panic station. Yeah. It's like, shit, we're going to lose this. And then the whole mentality changes of, instead of let's go out there and win it, it's like, let's go out there and save it. And when you're 45 points up, that should never be a danger. It should always be, you know what? Okay, they might get 2 in a row, but okay, let's just steady, kick a goal, kills their momentum, and that's it. We're back now where we belong, and we'll kick the next goal, and now it's back up to 45 points. We'll just keep it right there. Yeah. And no one's really straining themselves, but last night's game turned into a fight for about 45 minutes. And it didn't need to, given that first quarter. And I don't expect that they're going to play at that standard all the time, but they easily could have played to that standard and just held them there. And they need to develop that skill to be able to hold an opponent there. Yeah. And then when they realise, okay, they're vulnerable, then you can put the foot down.
I think it's something, certainly in terms of improvement this year, you want to see that when that pressure is applied, and when that pressure was applied, that's when we became fumbly, we weren't first to the ball.
That was the big worry for me.
We resorted to bombing it long instead of looking for a better option, and that's what sides can clearly look at when we have those explosive openers, know that they can rely on the fact that if they do structure differently, we will wilt a little bit, and that's something I think that we need to build as another
Well, that's where you think that tempo game they play where they just chip it around. That's where it should reassert itself. And they should just chip it around until they find a bit of an opening and go. I mean, the one thing that annoys me with the chip game with any team is when they chip.
Sidey loves it.
And I just bombed it. Then, whoever's on the other side just bombs it. It's like, well, you should just bomb it from the other side and save this 12 minutes of chipping. If you're going to chip, and that's what Hawthorn did so well for their dominant period, is they actually surgically found their way through congestion.
Well, quite literally.
Yeah, but they weren't just sort of chipping and losing ground and ending up on the other side of the stadium. They were actually finding their way through traffic, and then someone would just go, okay, there's the long option, I'm going to go. But that probably comes down a lot to what you said. We'll both need to the ball after the first quarter. We need to run hard and present, and they really need line breakers, which is why I think you need guys like Trelaw on the outside, because they're the guys who are going to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it from the review. We'll be back with Medium Acidic.
Ooh, goody.
welcome back. It is time for Media and the Fiddick. You actually sent this to me. The Herald Sun ran polls on 5 contentious decisions from Anzac Day.
Did they?
Yeah.
Good on them. There's people reading the Herald Sun, are they?
Someone is. I know, that just astonishes me. We complain about umpiring. I recall a couple of Queen's birthdays ago, the umpiring was terrible. We complained, and the next day it was just condescending. I remember Gabriel going, I didn't really see the game. Were they really there? So, we're rewarded for this condescension. A club complains against us, and they legitimise it with polls. Fucking hell, watch that game and see how bad the umpiring is both ways.
It's also a good way to troll people.
Well, it trolled me. Mike Williamson passed away.
Yeah, that was exceptionally sad. To me, he's always been like the voice of the 70s from when I first started getting interested in footy, and you clearly didn't have Foxtel or the games live, and you'd be kicking the ball around the backyard, and Mike Williamson would be on the radio, and the throws to Alan Martello for score updates, and it was just like a simpler time. But that voice was just. It was just one of the most engaging voices I think I've ever heard.
Not just the voice, though. It's the expression. I mean, similarly, I thought Litteridge is a great caller, and he had a very distinctive voice, but it's also what he was saying. And I found it really ironic yesterday where they honoured Mike Williamson, and by Bruce McAvaney raved about how Mike Williamson could say so much by saying so little, and then Bruce McAvaney went on for about 28 minutes about that, and it's like, Bruce, maybe listen to what you're saying.
Those are my words, that's not what I said.
Oh, no, he was a brilliant commentator, Mike Williamson.
Yeah, it was my favourite growing up, easily.
Yep. Collingwood signed Category B rookie Tom Wilson.
Good.
They beat out Geelong.
I loved him in Back to the Future as Biff.
That's a good... There's your nickname.
What name, sorry?
Tom Wilson, nickname.
That's what I thought you said.
What do you think I said?
It came out dangerously bad.
Okay. You're hearing things. We beat out Geelong and a late bid from Hawthorn. Wilson is 194 centimetres. Played the game at a high level when he was 16 and is now 21. Under the rules, according to this article I read, he is able to play immediately.
Oh, good.
Like next week.
Oh, well, maybe that takes care of the Adams conundrum.
Though he hasn't played the game for 5 years and there'd be little expectation of him in 2019.
He's perfect.
Well, for Carlton or Melbourne. He hasn't played the game for 5 years. He looks like an exciting prospect. You got to give kudos to Collingwood for finding these guys like Mason Cox, Tom Wilson, Quainer, who they got under, I don't know, some skewed rule. So well done. We released our Indigenous Guernsey, which looks great. There's a picture of it. Maybe there's not.
We can throw one up.
The AFL Footy Show listed the top 5 pies. And I don't know what the qualification was because, I'd have to actually watch that show, but someone gave me a screen grab.
I think you better say someone watched the show.
Well, someone must have. So Peter Dacos is at 1, Nathan Buckley at 2, Scott Pendlebury at 3, Darren Mullane at 4, Dane Swan at 5. I have to say this is probably the modern era because they don't have Bob Rose in there at all, who's widely regarded.
Nobody knows who they are anymore.
Players missing out for me. Tony Shaw is a really underrated player at Collingwood.
Yeah, that's a good get.
Gavin Brown, for me, is another one who's extremely underrated. If he was just left on the wing, he'd be remembered as one of the great wingmen of all time. But instead, under Lee Matthews and then Tony Shaw, he played all over the ground and never got to actually show his wares in a singular position. And the thing of Brown is he played a number of state matches, but he was best on ground in 2 of them. And state matches the best of the best. And this is a guy who's got 2 best on grounds. Any thoughts about that top 5?
Where was Bruno Italiano?
He wasn't in there.
Oh.
So they were talking yesterday in the commentary about how good's Pendlebury. They rated him up there with Dacos. They said arguably...
Was there a qualifier for this poll?
No, not that as far as
just,
I know.
Just your favourite players or your best player?
I'm
best player in a particular era? There was nothing.
I've got to say it's the modern era because it's all modern players. So Dacos, Buckley, Pendlebury, Mullane, Swan.
So that's basically 80s onwards.
Yep. So any thoughts about that? I mean, I was talking last night saying Pendlebury could possibly be the greatest pie ever. They talked about like how when you compare him with Buckley, the stats are very similar, same best and fairest. Buckley has a Brownlow, Pendlebury doesn't, but Pendlebury has a flag, but that's not really an individual award. But they said statistically they match up pretty well. So where would you rate Pendlebury in your top 5?
Inside of that 5? Is that the limit?
Yeah. I feel like put him outside the top 5.
What were the 5 again, sorry?
Dacos, Buckley, Pendlebury, Mullane, Swan.
Geez, I'd have probably... look, I love Pendles. I'd have probably Swan and Bucks ahead of him, though. And Dakes I would have had probably under him, and Mullane. It's a hard one to qualify because we only saw half of his career, but what a half. But
Which half? Who are you talking about?
Mullane,
yeah. Sorry.
So, I mean, he was cut short. Let's assume he was halfway through his career. Again, look, you probably have to have him down the bottom anyway because...
Mullane gained some appreciation because of the tragic death, and it was romanticised that he was going to be one of the great players, he'd be the next captain and all that. We don't know.
Which most likely would have been.
Yeah, but we don't know, and we don't know what those next 4 years... I mean, if you look at the 1990 Premiership side as an example... And you looked at that side, you would have thought, McGuan, Russell, Francis, Graham Wright, all these guys, they got the potential to be great players. But, Francis won a best and fairest, I think, in 92, but he was a very spasmodic player after that. He had a lot of injuries. Russell was a very good contributor. Wright probably never played as good a year as he did in 90, where he came second in the Brownlow. McGuan had a lot of injury problems, which really brought him down to the pack. So you just don't know what's going to happen after it. And even if you go back to the 2010 grand final side, which you thought would dominate for the next 10 years, Dale Thomas...
You would have thought.
2010, Dale Thomas is arguably the best player in the competition at 10-11. You look at what's become of him now, so you just don't know what's going to happen out there.
Yeah, fair point.
Collingwood defender Lyndon Dunn wishes he had arrived at Collingwood 10 years ago, praising the club's culture and energy. I love Melbourne. I love my time at the footy club.
When he says I love Melbourne, he's clearly talking about the town.
The city,
obviously, yeah.
But coming to the Pies, the best I describe it is I wish it had come 10 years ago. That's no disrespect to Melbourne. Melbourne, that's some disrespect to you.
About the club.
Yeah. I just love the footy club so much and what our group's got going at the moment. I've lived both sides of Collingwood. You either love them or hate them. If you barrack from them, you'll do both at the same time. Hated them with a passion for a long time. But then when you're on the inside, it's so bloody good. Every day coming to training, it's like coming to a local footy club, except it's the biggest club in the land. It's a joy to come in every day and get around each other. I'll tell you, I really love that sentiment from Lyndon Dunn.
To be fair, though, he has come from Melbourne.
It's a good point. He probably could have went to Montmorency and said, I love this club.
Menangatang thirds.
It does worry me, though, when you hear things like, except it's the biggest club in the land. It's like, you're selling that hype inside
It's the biggest and the best that's understood.
Yep. Finally, on a serious note, thought it was really moving what Collingwood did last night, or when we watched the game last night, with Kieran Maguire, who tragically has terminal brain cancer.
It's tragedy.
And as Buckley said, it really puts things into perspective. You see things like where the Essendon fans boo during the Anzac Day presentation, and in the end, just look at a game. Yeah, look, it's a game. There's a lot more serious things going on in the world. There's a lot more tragic things going on in the world than your perception that umpires ripped you off, or whatever the case might be. I really can't put into words how horrible that must be for the family and for poor Kieran, but
as a parent, it'd be one of the more devastating things that you would encounter in your life.
Yeah, and well done to Collingwood to give this family, this something in Kieran's final week. So well done, Collingwood.
Well done, boys. Club.
Yep. So that's it for Medium Acidic. We'll be back with the match preview.
Who we got?
Carlton.
The old foe.
So welcome back to the, round 8?
Match yes, it's round 8. Round 8.
I keep saying welcome back. We don't have commercials. I've got to stop saying that. Or we should put in some commercials.
Oh, we live in hope that someone would pay us to do this. It'll never happen, but we live in hope.
CUB. It's the 4th game in a row we've kept our opposition under 70 points. Last time we did that was round 17 to 21, 2009, which is actually 5 rounds, just before the wheels fell off that season. Which is right around the time the wheels fell off. I remember that. That was when Maltas decided to bring back every injured old player he could.
And why not?
Yep. So actually that's showing that defence is working pretty well going in against a side who actually has not a bad 4 line.
It's the Darcy Moore effect.
That's probably true.
Apparently he's not tolerating 70 after this week. He said it's 50. It's 50 from here.
Well, the good thing about having, unlike last year, the good thing about having Darcy there is then that allows guys like Langdon and Howe to stop having to punch above their weight and play key positions, and then they can play those flank positions and pocket positions. So you got a much more cohesive defence. Mm-hmm. Having said that, they'll probably all go a bowler or something now. hopefully Brody Grundy's okay. He didn't finish that game last night, and he was seen limping around the rooms with ice on his ankle.
Oh, okay, there's nothing been said since. I didn't know that.
No, Taylor Adams is out with an adductor injury.
Oh, what's she look like?
Looks like a boa constrictor. The VFL has a bye.
Oh, good on them. I mean, they've worked hard. It's been a long season.
It's been 4 weeks.
You need a rest.
Yep. They've worked it out in the VFL every 4 weeks. Just have a bye. So that actually probably, it does actually cause some sort of the selection dilemmas because you just don't know about form and shit like that. And guys like Daniel Wells, I'd look at him and go, when he was playing that consecutive football, it's like he's building up the fitness and he's proving his durability. And now he's got a week off. It's like, oh, geez, I don't want to play him coming off, a bye. I don't want him coming in cold and possibly injuring himself. So anyway, Mason Cox stated when roaming Brian proved out to be foaming shit last night that
Uznia Suki Lala at the end.
Yeah. Mason Cox stated he hoped he would be right for next week.
Well, who? Brian?
Brian will not be, right at all. I don't actually mind Brian's hyperbole when he commentates and shit like that, but that roaming Brian is one of the shittest things I've seen, and I just finished a shit television series, so I know about shit.
I don't mind it, but he struggles with it, and he has to talk to us. And that's obviously by design.
Yeah, but I just think, there's certain things that should exist within their own, environment. And post-game, that should just be for the players and whoever's invited in there. It shouldn't be...
Most sports are doing it now, though.
Yeah, I know.
Formula One does it for about 14 times longer than the actual race goes for. So, it's not unusual. I can understand why they sneak it in. I generally find it mildly entertaining. But I don't want him in our rooms.
You lost brain cells recently?
Oh, not just recently.
Alright, so Mason Cox stated he hoped he would be right. Mason Cox, Ben Reid. The dilemma, they were talking about it last night. What do you do with Cox when he's fit? Who do you drop? They talked about dropping Myercheck, but for Reid...
No, I wouldn't.
And they're not the same players. Myercheck is a lot more mobile. The example we brought up was that steal he did at centre-half back where he sprinted and he kicked the ball long to the goalie. You can't see Reid or Cox doing that.
No.
And if you look at last year when we were playing Cox and Reid, we looked very slow up forward. Ball just bounced out. Reid got injured. Myercheck came in and was forced to play forward because our defence was okay at that time. And that's when the forward line started to click. It gained mobility. It gained cohesion, and we started to get some systems. So I don't think you can play Cox and Reid in the same forward line.
No, it's going to be interesting. Personally, I think they'll give Coxie another week off this week. At any rate, so I think they'll stay a lot status quo. Well,
they also talked in the commentary about Reid can go back, and it's like, and Cox can't do that. It's
amazing all these things Reid can do at 30 years old with about 5 games under his belt in the last 2 years.
But the thing you got to balance. I mean, Reid can go back, yes, but when he was in the ruck, he was terrible. Cox can go in the ruck, and he's not actually a pinch hitting ruckman. He can actually have games where he's more effective than Grundy in the ruck. So I don't know what they're going to do there. If anything, I actually think Roughhead's probably the one you would ditch for Reid. Now, I'm not saying you're going to do that, but I'm saying those are the two guys vying for a position if everyone else is fit.
Look, I think it was nice that Reedy come back in, but I think Reedy can leave, and I don't mean that nastily, just as easily as he can come back in.
Well, I'd be interested to see Reid in the game because yesterday everything was working well to an extent. So it'd be good to see Reid in a game like the one against West Coast or Geelong where the forward line's not functioning as well, and seeing how effective he is at that point. James Aish, you'd imagine, will be back from his concussion. Isaac Quaynor has been on the fringe there for a little bit. He's building his form. As I said, Daniel Wells has been doing well, but he gets a bye this week. I don't know if you're playing cold. Travis Varco, I can't imagine he'd be in because he would have... No, he could actually come back, sorry. Yeah, I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think he'd be a chance.
Varks is an interesting one because when we dropped him and then we played West Coast, I think, we really miss his pressure. And then against Anzac Day, it was like, you're doing nothing. And I'd like to see kick a few goals, like most forwards. Then you get guys like Josh Dacos and Ben Crocker, who could play up forward. And Rupert Wills, who could play in the middle. Thoughts about who they could or will or should?
I think Varks is the
So Taylor Adams is definitely out.
Yeah, I think Varks would be the obvious one.
For Adams?
Possibly, yeah. But really, I mean, I don't think they're going to mess with a with the structure too much. I think Cox will probably be rested another week. You may get Varks in for Adams to provide a bit of drive and aggression, but everything else will probably stay as is.
Well, I think they might actually play Aish, put him down back, and push
true.
Greenwood into the middle on Cripps.
Well, Greenwood, I don't think he picks himself. So if there's a role for him there to play, then he'd be.
Well, that'd
chance,
be Cripps.
But,
Cripps would be one of the best midfielders in the competition.
Yeah, Aish may be given another week. He might play. He might be best on in the bye.
Oh, that'd be a good effort. Carlton have generally been competitive, but they've struggled to close out games. Very similar to us when we were a young side coming up under Buckley, and when we were a more experienced side in the grand final under Buckley. They started okay, but when challenged, last week's turnaround was amazing. But that really happened when Cruiser went down and Horford got on top in the midfield. I think Carlton, I've said it to you for a little while. I actually think they put it together a ridiculous of a good list. And with the list, I think, you get the core down, then you can put anyone on the fringes and they start doing their jobs. They look really good. That Sid Petrescu, whatever his name is, he did really well against Hawthorn. At the time of recording this, we haven't seen what Carlton's done, so we can't comment any further. Cripps, one of the premier midfielders in the league.
They got smashed.
No, yeah.
I can't believe they won.
Oh, they're playing North.
Oh, yeah, they'll win that, though.
That McKay is looking good. Charlie Curnow will probably be back. So they got like a...
There's about 200 or 300 injury cloud this week, so whether that carries into next, you can only be hopeful.
Well, Curnow is possibly back this week, so he should be back next week. The injury cloud, as much as you sort of go, I hope to have a few outs. It's like you still want to beat a side at their best to know we're the best, and like Carlton's still touted as a bottom 6 side or whatever. So and we're touted as a top 2 side, so we shouldn't actually be looking for any. Not excuses, but any advantages. It should just go out and beat whoever's there, and
Oh, definitely.
The one thing with Carlton too is we've had unreasonably close matches with them, in recent years, and it's just like just smash the shit out of them.
I was going to say it'd be classic Collingwood. If you're going to have a stinker this season, this would be the one.
Yep. So
and I had that dream. Remember a couple of weeks ago,
and a nightmare to others.
That's the one.
So thoughts?
We'll win by 68 points.
So you think we'll just smash them? Is that wishful thinking, or is that...
No, it's wishful thinking. I think it could be tight. I think you may be a couple of goals in it.
Yeah, well, Carlton doing well, and I'll live for this because everyone lives for Collingwood because it is a grand final.
Like an atmosphere.
Yeah. And if Carlton were to beat North...
Which I've tipped them to do.
Yeah, then, they should. You would think that it could be like a crowd of 80,000 or something.
Back in the old days. When we had big crowds when we played them.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, well, so you think we'll win by 68 points?
No, I'd probably revise that to about 24.
Okay, I'm gonna be daring and just say we're gonna smash them.
Yeah, 68 points.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, where'd you get that from?
I plagiarised it. Any final thoughts before we leave our millions of listeners and watchers?
No, continue to keep improving Collingwood, enjoying the wins, albeit the ugly ones, but no matter what, smash the filth this week, please.
Yep. Okay, just smash Carlton. You need to psychologically scar them because they are coming up.
I would have thought they're doing a good enough job on their own.
But we need to psychologically scar them so when they face us, they always have that intimidation. It's like what North Melbourne did to us about 20 years ago, and it just goes a long way when you face a team for them to actually have a bit of fear about you, and they're coming up, so it'd be good to actually have something over them.
Yeah, no, tactical. I like your line of thinking.
Yep. So I'll say the 68 points. What the hell?
All right, why not? One of us is bound to be wrong.
Yep. So subscribe, leave comments, like us on Facebook, listen to us on Spotify and Crapple, iTunes, whatever the hell it's called.
Apple Podcasts or something.
Yeah.
Or
Mudcast.
Yeah, that's it.
Shitcast?
Search Collingwood Rant or Shit I Want to Listen to.
That's not us, is it? Okay. We'll be back next week. Hopefully very happy and with a win.
You beauty.
As close as I'm going to get, probably. Later.